in Saginaw. Everything you need for home decorating, you're going to find it at West Side Decorating Center. Good morning to you, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW. And my thanks to Charlie Root for filling in for me yesterday. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we'll talk to Tony Stamas from the Midland Business Alliance. And on Focus, we're going to learn about Federolf's flooring. All of that coming up. But for this hour, going to spend it with one of my favorite people, although her organization is one that I wish didn't have to exist, but it does. And she is the founder and the head of the Saginaw Suicide Resource and Response Network. And we say good morning to Barb Smith.
Good morning.
Morning, Barb. I guess I do this every time, but just so people understand how this all came about back in the 80s, the late 80s, what brought you to this point?
Sure. My brother John was 20 years old when he took his life. And, we talk about the stigma around mental illness and suicide now. Back then, it was not anywhere near where people were as caring. So it kind of started my journey to wanting to make a difference.
And, we talk about that stigma, and it's always seemed to me that it was a stigma that was promoted in Hollywood and some degree television. But back then, 80s, 70s, before that, we didn't look at mental health almost as curable, did we? We looked at it as put them away, push them aside.
Yeah, put them in the psych units, yeah.
Of which we don't have many now.
No, well, there's not.
Now there's not enough.
Yeah, now there's not enough. I don't know that we needed to put as many people into the psych units as we did, because we understand now and have better treatments.
Yeah, it was like, let's get them out of our way so we don't have to look at them. We don't have to bother them.
Yeah.
And that, are we better today than we were? I assume, bad word, but I'm assuming we're better off today. To some degree.
I think to some degrees. I think in some areas we're much better. We're much more engaged with people who struggle. We're much more aware what to look for, but I'm not so sure that we have the everyday people who know how to help someone struggling. And
that's where you come in.
Yeah.
Because you really have an educational organization, don't you? That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, our two main goals are to do education and trainings to help prevent suicide, so we call that upstream. And then our other, flip side is when we can't help prevent suicide, we want to be here to care for people impacted by a death to suicide.
Before we forget to do it, there's a walk coming up, so let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. Tell us about that, and we'll come back to it, too.
Okay, sure. So Sunday, August 3rd at Saginaw Valley State University, we have our Walk for Hope, and I think it's our 23rd. I think it's our 22nd, 23rd. So we anticipate about 1,800 people to 2,000 walking to raise awareness and funds to help support our program, but also to bring people together to support each other.
And that's when?
Sunday, August 3rd.
Where?
Saginaw Valley State University.
Time?
People, we can register, or I guess say check in at 8:30. Opening statements are at 10 o'clock. And we have closing ceremonies about 12:30, between noon and 12:30. There are about 50 resource tables out there for people to find out what's available in their communities to help support a healthy life. And then we have raffles. We have Attaboy. I'm sure you heard of Attaboy, but we have it's an amazing band. So Attaboy will be playing, and then we have a DJ. So we have a lot of, I guess I'd say, positive energy. Lots of friendships are made. A lot of connections are made. It's really a cool day.
And it is a fundraiser for the organization.
It is a fundraiser. It's a 5K walk run. Although if people are not able to walk it, there is a 1 mile run walk, or we just have some shade tents where they can just hang out, listen to the music, and be part of the event.
And is there registration required?
We do strongly encourage them to pre-register. It just helps us get enough waters and snacks and backpacks and things like that. So it helps us better prepare. And so it is not required to register, but if they go to our srrn.net website, they can click on Walk for Hope and register themselves, register a team or join a team or just sponsor a team. So, for instance, my team is called Flutterbuys. Yeah, I know. Who would have thought?
I have no idea.
You want to know?
No.
Yes, you do.
No, go ahead.
So, when my niece was younger, she wasn't. She didn't know, she was little. So instead of calling butterflies, she called them flutterbuys.
Flutterbuys. That's
And
cute.
yeah, so and then
That's
later,
cute.
yeah. So and she now has bipolar, and so now we just walk in honor of my niece and all others who struggle. So we call our team Flutterbuys, and all my siblings get together, and we just walk
It's an
together.
important point. We'll come back to that. We're talking to Barb Smith from the Second on Suicide Response and Resource and Response Network, and we will be back.
We're entering some very uncertain times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you, because of what's been done here, have there been spin-off organizations formed elsewhere?
Yes. Yeah. So we've been one of the model programs that are being used around the state. We're one of the few that work with law enforcement or on site or on scene of an incident. And then we do it sort of in layers. So, for instance, when an individual dies, we work with law enforcement at the scene. And then we...
These are the impact.
The impact, the people who have died, yes. So from there we do something called outreach, and myself or another person will go to the family's home, maybe, a few days after, a few weeks after, and work with the family on just really surviving those early hours and weeks. And then we offer our support group, which is ongoing. So we're really one of the few that follow the individual from the onset long term.
I have to ask this question, Barb. For the average person hearing what you do, what's the burnout factor?
Well, it's been a hard week. How would we say that? Sometimes, I have my faith, and my faith gets me through other people's tragedies. But there's just sometimes we've had an increase this month. Just a lot of pain, a lot of good families struggling. And my brother's anniversary death was 2 days ago, and I was assisting another family. Yeah, I don't know.
So all that piles up on this.
I think so, yeah. And, my mother's death anniversary is coming up. So, I'm human too, and I think it's good. Some people get concerned, but I think it's good when I can feel. Right? That makes me human, more compassionate, and more passionate.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But it's still, everybody has a limit. And I have known you a long time, and I have no concept of what your limit is.
I don't either yet. I haven't found it yet, but the day I retire, we're like, there it is.
And I'm in the same, in certainly a different way than you are, but I push on because it gives me purpose and I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a gift, right? Like, not a gift I really asked for.
Yeah, I was going to say in your case, gift might be a different word I'd think of, but
I don't know. I think your gift of you make people. I mean, I love interviewing with you. You have the gift of having people feel very comfortable in our conversations, and I think that's a talent that a lot of interviewers don't have.
I appreciate it. So the organization, you have all these little tentacles, if you will. One of the things the organization did early on with the Saginaw Spirit was the tragic loss of one of our players at the time. Mm-hmm. Terry took his own life, and that really was a springboard to a major program in the Canadian Hockey League, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I'm very proud to say that we our network was one of the founders of Talk Today. So we took what could have been a very, tragic situation, and it was. But Terry's death has really impacted thousands of other people in the OHL. So we've been making a lot of changes. The OHL has been much more taking care of their athletes. Not that they did anything wrong before. We're just doing something different now.
And it's actually now the Canadian Hockey League is involved, the whole 60 teams.
It is, yeah, through the whole 60 teams. And they're actually doing things in NFL as well. Or NHL.
NHL.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Came from that?
I think so. Yeah, I think they took on the theme night and found it to be impactful and needed. So, yeah, they're doing them at other games as well.
So, and I know we've talked about this before, but I don't think we can talk about it enough. Suicide, first of all, from where you sit, is preventable, right?
It can be,
part.
yeah.
And part of that prevention is recognition when someone's in trouble.
Yes.
What are the signs? I mean, is it as simple as saying, look for this and look for that?
It can be. It can be. We know that most people who take their life have told someone somehow, some way, whether it was in their behavior or what they had said to them, or sort of the behavior changes, not showing up for work, maybe increased alcohol substance use, not engaging with people, not sleeping more. We say, and I know it sounds stereotype, but we say men get mad and girls get sad. So for males, we see a lot of anger, agitation, disconnection, increased alcohol substance. There can be physical pain prior to. A lot of times there's headache, neck ache, backache. So mental illness can cause physical pain as well. And then they go to the doctor and they don't find anything wrong. And they feel like, what's wrong with me? I know there's something is.
I was going to say, in this day and age, with all the advancements in medicine, with all the solutions for all kinds of problems out there,
Yeah.
how is it that hopelessness trumps those? I don't,
Yeah.
let's face it, if you're not ever thinking of it, it's hard to put yourself in the place of somebody else.
Yeah, and I appreciate when people don't understand it. That's a good thing, Art. I mean, some people I don't understand. I'm like, that's good, because if you haven't understand it, you haven't lived it, right? So it's hard to wrap your mind around someone who has so much pain, mental, emotional, or they feel like they're in darkness all the time. How they could take their life instead of taking some type of prescribed medication. But if they were mentally healthy, they could make better decisions. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that would be no different than, and sometimes for individuals, it can be a hard life. For some people, it's temporary depression or situational depression. And if we can get
we all go through that.
I would hope most of us have been through something sometime in our life. Life's not easy, is it?
No, it's hard to be alive.
It is hard to.
That's interesting you say that. That's true.
It is. But if we can get through those hard moments, hard times, hard days, we will find our joy again. We'll find our purpose. But we need to get people through those times. But I think now in the world we live today, there's a lot of disconnect. The families aren't as strong together. We're not connected as much.
As a society, we have chasms.
We do. Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons for the increased suicide rates. I think we're doing more awareness, but are we doing more changes within ourselves and within our own families?
The rate that surprises me the most, I guess, is youngsters. I know it's maybe it's double tragedy. I don't know. I mean, someone who's in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, lived their life, had a problem. While none of it is totally understandable, maybe it's more understandable than a 15-year-old.
Yeah. Yes.
What's causing that in youth?
I think for youth, they're more impulsive. They can't see beyond their moments. Sometimes they, I think when we were all younger, like wherever we're at right now is where we're at. We don't look at it as like, oh my gosh, in 6 years I'm going to be doing this, or 2 years I'm going to find somebody new. It's like they live in the moment. And if in the moment life sucks, that's the moment that they're impulsive.
But what part of that impulsiveness fails to tell them that if they carry out the act, they won't be around to see the benefit?
We call it being in a dark tunnel. Like they get so deep in pain, it becomes very dark. And it's like being in a tunnel where the walls sort of start closing in on you, and you don't see beyond this moment. You don't see the light. You don't see family. You don't see your friends. You just see that I'm in this darkness and I don't want to be here.
So if you're a parent and you have a youngster who you are seeing changes, how do you intervene?
I think parents now, and I'm not blaming parents for any deaths, right? Because my brother's suicide, my mom treated all of us the same. She was an amazing human being, so it's not my mom's fault, right? It's nobody's fault when this happens, but I think there's some things that we can do to better protect people from themselves, if that makes sense. So when you have a concern about a kid, one of your kids, grandkids, niece, nephew, your own child, we encourage them to bring them out of their bedrooms, take them out of the basements where they're gaming, or get them out, right? Get them out and being involved and feeling connected and having purpose. You know, sometimes kids get into that space, or even adults, where they hang out in their rooms and they're just gaming for hours and hours. You know, we as humans need to be out in society. We need to have human connection and not isolation. And I really believe that's what's been going on.
You know, as I sit here listening to that, I recognize that. I recognize that in myself to a degree. Here's why. I'm a private person. I go home, you know, and the dog and I sit there. And there are times when I have to say to myself, hey, get the freak up and do something.
Yeah, yeah. It gets comfortable. It gets
too comfortable.
Yeah. But it's not good.
It becomes a way of life, and I have to interrupt it.
Yeah. But you have the mindset to do that. Some people, if they don't have that mindset, it becomes very easy to sit in it and stay there. And it gets harder with anxiety now. People have a lot of anxiety that people have never had that much before. So people are harder time going out and enjoying themselves or enjoying other people. You know, they go to the ball games and they sit very intense the whole time, where when I go to a ball game, like, I'm just engaged and enjoying the game, right? Like, you're in the presence. But when people have anxiety, it takes so much energy for them to be there that they can't enjoy the game, and it's too much energy. They go home exhausted instead of energized.
It's, you know, I just, again, you know, when you're not in that frame of mind, it's hard to put yourself in the position of someone who is.
Yeah. I think as adults, we need to start raising the generation to be involved, be engaged, and have connections. Like, to me, that's what we need to start going back to that a little bit more.
When you respond as an interactor with someone who's just lost someone that way, is their first thought blaming themselves?
Yes. Almost all of our people blame themselves. What could I have done? What should I have done? What did I miss? How did I miss that? But, you know, we all have to take ownership for what we did or didn't do. But ultimately, it took me a long time to understand and wrap my head around. Not one of us wanted him to die. Not one of us would choose for him to die. He didn't know what else to do with his pain in that moment. And there's nothing in my mind, nothing that he was going on in his life that we couldn't help or he couldn't work through.
So when you go into a home where they've just lost someone to suicide, let's keep it there for a minute, and the blame game is going on in their own minds, do you do that's a bad word, I'm not going to use it. Do you do a post-analysis of
with the family,
what happened, and with the family, and what they could have seen and what they didn't see, or do you move on?
No, I sort of just validate where they're at, because in the moment, that's not the time to teach them. It's for me to hear what their pain is and what they believe and their perception. And then I might insert something like, you must have really loved him or her, and I'm so sorry that they had so much pain. Because it's about the person's pain that dies, not about what the family did or didn't do. So part of it is letting the family feel what they feel, help them understand why suicide may have come to this person's mind, and then just let them know, you know, wherever you're at today, and I'm sorry you believe that you made this happen, but someday we hope we can help you see differently.
Are they receptive to what you bring to the table?
I have not been kicked out of a house yet.
Well, that's a good thing.
Not yet.
We're going to take a pause. Talking to Barb Smith from the Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network. We'll be back. We'll also remind you about their March for Hope coming up. All ahead here on WSGW. Let me take a moment to talk about Quick Lane in Freeland next to McDonald Ford. You know, it's been a tough year for allergies, if you haven't noticed. If you have allergies, I'm sure you have. And our friends at Quick Lane Freeland have an answer to keep you healthy while driving in your car. It's called FrigiFresh. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant, and it's inserted into your air conditioning. And if you want to know more about it, listen to John from Quick Lane, because he'll tell you all about it.
FrigiFresh. Hi.
How many victims advocates are there? I mean, if you're covering that much territory.
Well, you want to hear the real number? 4.
Huh?
There was 11 of us, and then many people had to retire, or life got in the way. They have, children, so we are down to 4 of us. So we're in the process of trying to bring in 6 more people, because then we can offer our services more, right
You
now.
have those 6 people online, or you're looking for 6 people?
Well, I have one, and I need 5 more. Then that way we can really promote ourselves to the new law enforcement, let them know who we are, what we do. So we've sort of been at a standstill, and there's a certification training going on in Midland in October. So we will bring people on then.
Okay, so let's talk about this. First, someone wants to volunteer. What kind of qualifications should a person have to be a victim's advocate?
Well, we really we hand select people in an odd way. Like, we don't promote and just invite people, because we want to make sure that they're a good fit. You have to be comfortable around intense grief, chaos. You have to be very resourceful. We are in the homes of people in their worst moments. Whether it's finding biohazard cleanup or finding the superintendent of the school, working with funeral homes, working with the medical examiner's office. So we really are I call us more the hub of the pain. So we help people navigate and find, whether it's getting them a glass of water, changing a diaper of a child, holding the children, while police do their work, bringing out a blanket and sitting outdoors in the heat for 2 hours, walking through the woods. Wherever we need to be is where we're at. So, I don't sleep much, as you. So, we get called out at 1 a.m. and get home at 2:30 or 3, and, you get up and go to work. Or, tragedies don't just happen on 9 to 5 in our schedules.
Is there an age range for the ideal advocate?
No, 18 and older. Anyone that is, again, just sort of that calming, confident person without wanting to control a situation that can feel uncontrollable. So, our whole role is to serve and support our law enforcement first and most importantly. So whatever they need from us, and whatever they need us to go get bottles of water, or they need us to sit with the victim or a perpetrator, or you can sit in the heat for 2-3 hours sometimes, sit by a roadside with someone. So it really is about the compassion and flexibility.
Sometimes you are called to the scene.
Yeah, we're almost always. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, the incident already happened, and then we go to the homes with the police to notify if it did not happen, where the families are. So, it's an honor to be with people in their worst moments. To me, it's, I guess I look at it as an honor. People don't know what to do, and we help them navigate, like immediately, how do you get a hold of their parents or their kids who are away at college.
So first and foremost, the word that comes to my mind is compassion.
I think it's compassion and a peacemaker in an odd way, right? Being respectful that it's not our tragedy, that this is their tragedy, and we can't take it away, but we can walk with them.
All right, we're going to take our last break, come back. We're going to remind you about the walk coming up and a little more with Barb Smith from Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network. More ahead.
For someone.
So this is the kind of trainings for everybody.
Yeah, yep. And I tailor it to the age group, right? If I'm talking to, I did a kids camp, a peer kids camp in, I think it was in Vassar. And these were kids from grade 7 to senior year. So we just talked to them about how to be your peer, how to, what to do to help your friends. So that was one age group. Then the Rotaries, I might talk to more the middle age and older population, like what they can look at in their friends. And then today, this afternoon, I'll be doing a Safe Talk training that is 3.5 hours. And there's a lot of videos inserted, myself speaking, and then they get to practice just a little bit about asking the question of suicide, getting comfortable using the word or killing self, because that can be hard. And then the next level is a 2-day training where it's very intense. It's exhausting, actually. A group of 30 people, and we get to know each other on more personal, professional levels. And then we start to move to the model about recognizing the concern for suicide, but we teach them to have a much deeper conversation, staying in the conversation, and then they develop a safe plan. So it's multi-tiered, focusing on different audiences.
Is there a national model for this, or is this something you had to create?
LivingWorks model is the Assistant Safe Talk. That's a worldwide model. It started in Canada, and they actually use Safe Talk for all of our OHL players. So that is the one that I use most often. And then the awareness training, the student version, I develop those.
All right. So let's talk about the walk. We started talking about the walk. We're going to end up talking about the walk.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. That's what you brought me here for.
Barb knows. So the walk is
Sunday, August 3rd at Saginaw Valley State University.
Where will they gather?
Saginaw Valley State University near the football field, right there in the courtyard.
Okay.
Yep. And it's a 5K walk run, meaning it's not timed. It's family friendly. And we just go around the campus through the whole outskirts of it. So they are paved walkways. There's a 1 mile loop. And if someone does not or cannot participate in the walk or run, then they can hang out under the shade tents and just enjoy the music. Attaboys, an amazing band, will be there. We have a DJ that's also coming. There'll be raffles, 50/50s, 50 resource tables, all resources letting people know.
Is there a cost to participate?
We do not require people to pay. However, it is a fundraising and awareness event. So, for instance, you can have a team and have people support you financially. You can come individual, walk as a team, run as a team, whatever works for you. So my team, we have about 20 of us. So all my siblings, nieces, nephews, we all show up on the day of the event, and it's really a family friendly event. We do want people to know that it is service dogs only allowed. Please not your support animals, just because it's usually hotter than hell out there, right? August 3rd. And it's a safety issue. We don't want anyone to get hurt, tripping over the leashes, things like that. And it's a liability. SVSU does not allow it either. So just, registered service dogs anyways. Yeah, just safety issue for everyone.
So in conclusion, let's spend just 30 seconds. How is the network funded?
The network is funded primarily. This is our biggest fundraising event. Our goal is to raise $100,000. We run off grants, foundation, grants and memorials from families who've lost to suicide. So grants, memorials, and fundraising events. We charge very little. We charge nothing for our survivors, for any of our programs. We charge them nothing, and our trainings are almost all grant funded, so minimal cost to those.
And the victims advocates are all volunteers.
Yeah, we're all volunteers, yes.
All 4 of you right now.
And my staff needs to get paid, right? So
yeah,
the
your
more
staff
money,
needs to get paid.
Yeah, so my staff gets paid for, and myself, right? Like I don't know, but I'm probably 60 hours a week average. My staff is, almost always over 40. They're my salaried workers. So, we are just really, my team is small, but we are an excellent team.
And your website is?
srrn.net.
Barb, as always, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being with us. Barb Smith from the Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network. We'll take our last break and close out the hour.
Before you hit the road this summer.
To talk to if you're facing a crisis or you just need to talk to someone, call 988. That's a crisis hotline for you. Coming up, we'll talk to Tony Stamas next hour from the Midland Business Alliance. All that happens after the news from CBS and the local report with Michael Percho. Talk to you after the news.
Broadcasting from the